Okay guys, so here I am out on the water for a second time trying to do the casting impressions video of the new 2023 DAIWA SS Air TW. Now I went out and filmed this a few days ago, but unfortunately the audio on that video was unacceptable. So here we are for round two, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast this reel around and do a casting comparison with another reel to see if I see any kind of difference between this time and the first time I took the reel out, because I am actually using a different lure. And then I'll let you guys know what my findings are by comparing both experiences. So let us begin. So just for anyone who is not aware of the new SS Air TW and what makes this reel different than DAIWA's other bait finesse reels, I suggest that you watch the unboxing video that I did on it. But to make a long story short, this reel has what I consider to be a pretty radical new brake system from DAIWA. And I say it's radical because DAIWA is extremely proud of their MagForce style magnetic braking and all of its variants. And this is kind of a hybrid between their old MagForce and I guess I would say something similar to Shimano's FTB. This is a whole new brake system that is supposed to, in my opinion, address the one weakness that DAIWA's current Air BFS reels have, and that is long distance casting with upper end BFS lures. So of course, whenever you have, I guess, a new bit of brake technology, to see whether it actually does what it's supposed to, you have to compare it with the old braking technology. So we're going to be doing a cast comparison with what is probably DAIWA's best-selling bait finesse reel ever, and that's the 2020 SS Air TW. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to be disappointed because you're wanting to see this new SS Air go up against the current king, the 22 ALDEBARAN BFS, but I'm going to quote a movie, and let me know in the comments if you know what movie I'm quoting. But in this movie it said, if you can't even handle the Indians, why bring out the chief? So here's the Indians, and if the SS Air can handle the Indian, we're going to bring out the chief, which is the 22 ALDEBARAN BFS, of course. Now both reels are mounted on the same ultralight BFS bass rods that I always use in these comparisons, the Major Craft Corza 6'5" ultralight with the same 4-pound monofilament that I always use. Now I'm not really too concerned about the light lure performance of the new SS Air. I don't think that was ever going to be in question, but what I'm going to focus on, of course, is going to be that long distance casting of heavier bait finesse lures. And the lure that we're going to be casting, it's going to be this about 3.8 gram little sinking minnow. That this style of lure is very popular in Japan for mountain stream bait finesse. They're really dense and they fly through the air really good. Now the first time around I ended up using a lure that was not as dense. It was a suspending jerk bait that I don't think casts as good as these. So it's going to be interesting to see the comparison between the two. And I'm also going to be trying to observe things like spool speed, and we're also going to be doing some pitching. So let's get started. So we're going to start off with the Alphas Air, and off camera I've dialed the Alphas Air down to the lowest brake setting it could go before the spool started to overrun, and that is 9 on the external dial. And let's start casting. Wow, I had some overrun on that cast, so I'm definitely on the limit. And in fact, I'm going to cast that way because the water looks darker. And I'm getting eaten up. Okay, so I am going to go up 1 click to number 10 because apparently we're having overrun. Hopefully you guys can see where that's landing. We'll do a few more. I'd estimate that to be at least 30 yards. I really snapped my wrist on that one, caused a pretty decent overrun. Worked itself out. gonna try to smoothen my cast stroke. So yeah, I'm thinking we're getting close to 30 yards. Wow, I'm getting some overrun. Let's cast over this way. All right, that was a good cast. Still getting some overrun though. All right, do a few more. All right, so not whipping my wrist so hard at the end takes away that overrun. So not surprisingly, with bait finesse, your cast stroke is very important for consistency. All right, we'll do two more, just two more. So very consistent distance, probably around 30 yards, maybe a little bit more on some of these casts. We'll do some sidearm. Now, just in case you guys who are kind of new to my bait finesse content were wondering, the DAIWA Air BFS reels, they were excellent at casting light lures. I'm talking, you know, 16th ounce, maybe 2 grams and under. But where they struggled against their competition was like 3 grams and up for long distance casting. And I'm talking in measured cast battles, their Air BFS reels lagging behind like 10 to 12 feet average. So in BFS, that's a long way, well over 10%. All right, so I can definitely hear the air rotor pop at the end of the cast after the spool stops. All right, let's get to the SS Air. Okay, so with the SS Air and its new SS mag force, I'm actually able to go down quite a bit lower on the external dial, and the number I'm able to reach is 6. Hopefully I don't get hit by lightning because it's starting to rain, but I'm gonna cast around anyway. All right, let me know what you guys think of these casts of the SS Air compared to the Alphas. It does seem to feel like a freer casting reel. The lure seems to, I guess, jump off the rod a little bit easier. Okay, that was a cast that had some overrun. So the casting does feel a little bit faster. The spool does seem to spin slightly freer. Now it's not a quiet casting experience. Hopefully you guys can hear that buzzing noise that the reel's making. Oh shit, that was a bad cast. I'm gonna go up 1 on the brakes. So just with the eyeball test, you know, from a horizontal viewpoint, I don't see that there is a difference in casting distance. All right, let's do a few more. Now right there, I'm sure you guys really couldn't see it that well, but that was a really low trajectory line drive overhead cast. Ooh, there was a long one. And that was something that DAIWA said this reel was supposed to excel at, you know, low trajectory casting. I guess for the mountain stream anglers trying to get the lure under branches and whatnot. But distance-wise, you know, I'm kind of disappointed. Now, it doesn't cast short, but I was expecting more versus the alphas. Now, of course, the alphas does have a heavier spool as well. Keep that in mind, by over half a gram. And it's really starting to come down. But I'm gonna keep casting. Let's do some sidearm. All right. Definitely see a difference there. Looks like the sidearm casts are going just as far as the overhead for this SS Air. And we can achieve relatively low trajectory if you cast it just right. But yeah, overall distance, sad to say, I just don't see it. All right, so I've moved to a different spot and it seems to be more protected from the wind here. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna compare pitching between these two reels, see if we see a difference in, I guess, the ability to do low trajectory pitches. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the brakes up 2 clicks on each reel from their previous setting. And we're gonna start off with the Alpha Air first. Now, the thing about pitching is that no two pitches are alike. So one pitch might be considered low trajectory, and then a pitch like that I don't consider low trajectory. So I'm just going to pitch around a few, try to keep the trajectory as low as possible, look at the distance, and maybe we'll see a difference. So of course the higher trajectory pitches like that one go significantly farther, but then lower ones like that, they don't go nearly as far. So with the Alphas, we're probably getting about a good, what, 35 foot with this 1/8 ounce or a little bit heavier little minnow. All right, so that was a much higher trajectory pitch. For those of you who are wondering, you know, what's the difference? Well, pitching, it's high trajectory pitch. Pitching, in my opinion, is supposed to be like a low speed presentation. So when the lure hits the water, and it's usually a soft plastic, it makes a splash that might attract a bass. So there's a difference between a splash that attracts fish versus a splash that'll scare fish away. So I think, with these low speed, low trajectory pitches, when the lure hits the water, it's supposed to attract the fish instead of a big splash that'll scare them off. And I'm having a problem with the wet blank causing the line to stick to it. All right, we'll do one more. Okay, managed to put that lure right on these bubbles, probably caused by a turtle. All right, let's get to the SS Air. All right, SS Air's turn. So since I turned the brakes up 2 clicks, it is to 9 now. Now on the Alphas, it was 12. Here we go. All right, that was a low trajectory yet short pitch. Now right there, the line got between the spool and the frame, and it's done that a couple of times on this new SS Air. All right, so I'm definitely noticing something here. It is easier, well, I guess I should say it's easier to be more consistent, it seems like, to get a low trajectory pitch on this SS Air. And the trajectory seems to be definitely a few inches lower versus the alphas. Distance, I don't know, it's about the same. Maybe with the SS Air I can turn the brakes down and get more distance, but I don't know if that's worth the, you know, massive price increase of this SS Air or the alphas. As I showed you guys in the previous video, we're talking like $80. Now, I will say that this SS Air is new. I've had the alphas and fished the alphas quite a bit, and it's well, I guess, broken in, and maybe that's what needs to be done with the SS Air. Kind of like the Gecko. When I first fished that reel, I wasn't really impressed, and then I made myself fish it through the winter, and then when it came time for the Casting Olympics, it actually was pretty good, at least with the light lure portion. So that's something that might need to be done with this SS Air. So right there's a low trajectory little line drive cast. We'll do a few of those. The retrieve is smooth, but I still feel that slight ticking. So you can definitely do some line drive casting with this SS Air, if that's your thing, if that's something you need to do. Let's try the alphas. All right, I wish these lures had hooks on them, because I saw like a 2-pound bass slowly cruising through here. Darn. All right. Okay, I'm gonna try to make a conscious effort to do the lowest trajectory sidearm cast I can. Okay, well, I mean, if you really want to nitpick, it is a little easier to do a low trajectory sidearm cast with the SS Air. While with this alphas, you kind of have to consciously try to do it, you know, adjust your release point to do a low trajectory cast. But I mean, if that was the purpose of the SS Mag Force, then I guess they've succeeded, but I'm just so far disappointed with the casting distance, or I guess lack of separation in casting distance between the SS Air and the alphas.
Okay, so I'm back at home, and let's go over my, I guess, thoughts on these first two outings with the SS Air versus the much cheaper alphas Air. Now, if you saw that footage and you thought to yourself, I don't see any kind of difference between the two reels in casting distance or pitching, you'd be right, because I literally saw no difference either. And of course, I had the best angle. And that's exactly what happened the first time I took both of these reels out and casted this lure, which is a 3.2 gram little hollow bodied suspending jerkbait, which doesn't cast nearly as good as the lure I use today. So yeah, needless to say, so far I'm pretty disappointed, as I waited so long for this reel. There was so much mystery around it, and when it was finally unveiled, DAIWA was touting insane spool speeds. Now I will say this, the SS Air did feel like the spool was a little faster and freer casting, and that could be all down to the fact that I was able to go a few settings lower on the brakes. Now keep in mind, this is just a casting distance test with heavier BFS lures. I do plan on running some ultralight lure tests with it as well, and I still plan on taking this reel to Colorado with me this summer to fish for some trout. Now I did check the spool bearings, there's no grease in them, but I mean, so far these first 2 times out, it looks like this quote-unquote new SS Air is just more of the same from DAIWA. One thing that I think they should have done was bump the spool diameter up to about 30 millimeters, which is something they could have easily done and kept the spool weight the same, but oh well. So if you've purchased an SS Air and your experience is the same as mine, or if you love the reel and your experience may be different, then just let me know in the comments section. Now if you have a YouTube channel and I'm going to make some kind of crazy claims on how this reel just eats up all your other BFS reels, then you better be able to prove it on video. Alright guys, thanks a lot.